It's a church, so you have to be honest, and the honest answer is probably not. Some of you remember Plan A. Just for review, God's goal for creation is for humanity to live at peace with one another and to live in relationship with God. That's God's ultimate goal. So God's first plan for it to enact this is Adam and Eve. How did that turn out? We had the serpent, we had everything falling apart. God said, okay, that did not work. Plan A did not work. So we had Plan B. You remember Plan B from last week? God got frustrated and said, okay, we're going to start over. The magical redo switch. God hits the button, the floods come. This is God bringing judgment upon the earth, God undoing all creation. If humanity gets everything, if that doesn't work, God says, all right, I'll show them judgment, and I'll give them a second chance. And so Noah steps off the ark, he steps onto dry ground, and for a moment we think, surely it has worked. Plan B worked. Plan A did not, but Plan B, humanity just needed a second chance to learn the severity of our actions, the consequences, if you will. Noah builds an altar, and for a minute in the Bible, everything seems like it's going to work out just fine, right? Except what did Noah do after he built the altar? He opened up a case of Canaan's finest, right? He became inebriated. One thing led to another, and everything went back into disarray. And from Noah, it goes down to the story of Babel. That's Plan B. God gave everything. Plan A did not work. God showed judgment and gave a second chance. Plan B did not work. And so now we turn to the 12th chapter of Genesis. Plan C. And frankly, this one doesn't sound very promising either, does it? What is Plan C? God makes a promise to a couple named Abram and Sarai, or Abraham and Sarah, as they are later to be known. The promise includes three things. Land as far as the eye can see, a great name, and more descendants than there are stars in the sky. Now, it's a great promise. Don't get me wrong. If you're Abraham and Sarah, you're thinking, wow, it is great to be the recipient of such a big promise. But here's the problem, people. God, I hope you don't lose sight of this. This isn't just a nice promise to a couple we have never met before. This is Plan C. This is God's plan to change the world. It is by making a promise to these two people, again, we have never heard of before. This is how God's going to bring peace to the earth. This is how God's going to reconcile humanity to God's own self. That seems kind of unlikely, doesn't it? I don't know if there's poker players, and I don't know if referencing poker in the middle of a sermon is the best choice, but nonetheless, if you know anything about poker, there comes a time in every game where you push all your chips to the middle of the table, right? It's called going all in. When you do that, you want to have a really good hand. You want to have like pocket aces, right? This seems to be a strange hand for God to push all the chips into the middle of the table. When you hear this promise, some of you are thinking, well, I'm guessing Abraham and Sarah, they're aces, right? They're as good, they're as faithful, they're as trustworthy as anybody you will ever meet. And at first they are so good. God speaks to Abraham and to Sarah, says, go from your father's house to the land that I will show you. You know what Abraham and Sarah do? They go. They pack their bags. They say goodbye to their relatives. They wave goodbye to the only hometown they have ever known, and they go to the land that God is going to give to them and to their descendants. It is glorious. And when they get there, they build an altar to the Lord. They have like this little church service, just the two of them and their tag-along nephew named Lot. They have this little worship service. It is glorious. And I know what some of you are thinking. Checking those cards saying, ace, ace. It doesn't get any better than this. If only the story had ended there, right? You know what happens next? All of a sudden there's a drought. There's a little itty bitty drought. Abraham and Sarah, Abraham who had left the only land he'd ever known to go to the land that God was going to show them, that now there's a drought. And he trusted God enough to get him to this point, but now there's a drought. Abraham's like, well, we can't stay around here. And so he goes to Egypt. Never a good place to go in the Bible. They go to Egypt, and along the way, Abraham, this great pillar of faith, this man of great and intense courage, you know what he says? He turns to his wife, and he says, Sarah, you're beautiful. She says, oh, thank you. And he said, no, that's a problem. We're going to get to Egypt, and people are going to see you, and they are going to see how beautiful you are, and they're going to want to marry you, and they're going to kill me in order to take you as their wife, which frankly seems a little paranoid, don't you think? It certainly seems cowardly. Abraham's supposed to be this great person of courage. He says to his wife Sarah, pretend to be my sister. Just while we're in Egypt, let's pretend to be brother and sister. Guess what? Their plan works. They get to Egypt, they're walking through the streets, they get to know a few people. People come up to Abraham. Wow, your wife is beautiful. Abraham says, no, she's not my wife. She's my sister. Eventually, word gets around, there's a beautiful woman from a distant land who has come to Egypt. Well, Pharaoh himself is intrigued, and since she's not married, what does Pharaoh do? He sends a dowry to Abraham himself, and he brings Sarah into his house with the intention of having her become one of his many wives. You see the problem? Does Plan C still seem like such a great idea? Does Abraham seem like an ace to you? I don't think so, right? This is a person God promised to give him more descendants with Sarah, more descendants than there are stars in the sky. Well, to have more descendants than stars in the sky, you have to have at least one child, right? And what has Abraham done? He has literally given his wife away to the king of Egypt. This doesn't seem like such a great plan, does it? God intervenes. God sets them free from Egypt. And the next thing we know, we meet Abraham and Sarah years later, wandering around together. They've amassed a bit of a fortune, but life is not good. And some of you are shaking your head saying, of course it's not. Have you met Abraham? Well, before you dismiss just Abraham, you should know a little something about Sarah. Turns out, she's not an ace either. You know what happens to Sarah? Sarah, one day, is fed up. They haven't been able to conceive and have a child, so she turns to Abraham and she says, I have an idea. Abraham says, what is it? And Sarah says, you know my servants, Hagar, young woman, I want you to marry her. I want you to marry her because if you marry her and you have a child, that child will kind of be like my child because she's your wife and she's my servant, so that child will kind of be mine. Does that seem like a good plan to you? I don't think so. Guess what? It works. In the Bible, Abraham thinks about it for 4 seconds and he says, oh, okay. So he marries Hagar. Plan works. She gets pregnant. She has a baby boy named Ishmael. And I know this is going to surprise all of you. Turns out this family arrangement is a little bit more stressful than anyone had anticipated. It takes a little while, but eventually Sarah gets fed up, and she goes to Abraham and she says, you send them away. You send them away right now. Oh, get rid of them. And so Abraham, this great pillar of courage, we think, sends his second wife away into the wilderness and his child, assuming it is likely that they are going to starve to death in the wilderness. Why? Because he lacks courage. Why? Because Sarah is incredibly self-centered. Now, God intervenes, you should know. He takes care of Ishmael, he takes care of Hagar in the wilderness. But I tell you all of this to know that Plan C doesn't seem like such a great idea. In the 12th chapter of Genesis, it doesn't seem like such a great idea because if God's plan is dependent upon the faithfulness of Abraham and Sarah, well, It's time for God to move on to plan D or E or F, right? But here's the really good news. It turns out that God's plan is not dependent upon Abraham or Sarah. It is not dependent upon their faithfulness or their trustworthiness or their righteousness. Ultimately, those things are important, but ultimately, the plan of God's salvation for the world, it is completely and utterly dependent upon God's faithfulness to God's own promise. God is the subject. God is the one who says again and again, in good times and bad, I will be faithful. Even, especially when you are not. And people of God, this is important. This is important for us to remember because we as a congregation, we have moments of great faithfulness, don't we? I get to see them. I'll give you just two. Two that are incredible that I have witnessed in the past 2 weeks. Last night, I had a conversation with a member of our church who is a teacher at the local school. He came across a young person in one of his classes that had a tooth infection. Okay? The young man did not have the resources at home. His family did not have the resources to take care of his tooth infection. So you know what this teacher did? One night, the teacher drove to this young man's house, picked him up, took him to the care clinic on a Tuesday night, and sat with him for an hour before he was able to get in. People at the care clinic, who happen to be two members of our congregation, helped remove this man's tooth, actually a couple of teeth, and by the end of the night, that young man was playing in a basketball game. Right? Pretty tough kid who, thanks to this church's generosity, has been able to participate in some youth trips in years past. All right? Now that's a pretty cool thing, right? That is people of God being as faithful, going out of their way to make a difference over and over again in the lives of people in need. That's one instance. The second instance is a couple weeks ago. I can't give you too many details, but a couple weeks ago, a member of our congregation came into the office and told me a story. And she had a donation that she wanted to give to the congregation. And she told me a story for about 15 minutes about what motivated her. And she's not a person of, she's a person of great generosity with limited means, who came and made this very generous gift. And when she left, I was so moved by her story that I began to break down. And I wish I could share the details with you today. I can't, but I broke down. And you know what happened? I missed dinner on a Wednesday night. I'm sorry, people. You know how big a deal that is for me to miss out on a free meal, right? I did. Why? Because I was so moved by what this woman had shared with me. This is the type of thing that we get to see over and over again, is the kindness, the generosity, the faithfulness of members of our congregation. And so it is tempting to think, yeah, the faithfulness of God's plan, if it rests on us on our best days, we can get this done, right? But we also know that we have our worst days. That not every day is like when Abraham hears the word of the Lord and he goes, there are other days. Maybe not as dramatic as Abraham and Sarah, I hope. But there are days when we aren't as brave. When fear gets a hold of our hearts. There are other days when self-centeredness gets a hold of our lives and we're not the people we want to be. And if the promise of God, if this whole plan C was completely and utterly dependent upon you and me, then we'd be in serious trouble, wouldn't we? But people of God, it's not. The promise of God in Jesus Christ, the plan of salvation for the whole world, it's dependent upon God and God's faithfulness to God's very own promise. And we see that in Abraham and Sarah. When they're trapped in Egypt, it's not their wisdom that gets them out of that situation. Do you know who gets them out? God. God's promise gets them out. And when they've given up hope of ever having a child, it is God who visits them through angels. And eventually, when the day comes, it is God who brings little Isaac into the world. The son of Abraham and Sarah, the bearer of God's promise, over and over and over I could literally walk you through the entire Bible for hour upon hour, because people of God, it happens again and again that God is faithful to this promise. Today, I don't have this grandiose 3-point sermon. I don't have this lasting image for you to take away, friends. I don't even have a funny story for you to remember on Tuesday. What I have is this one thing. But this one thing, it is the gospel. It is the most important thing I can ever share with you, and it is this: that when God makes a promise, God keeps his promise. That is who God is. And God's promise to you this day is to walk with you in good times and in bad. God's promise to you this day is the forgiveness of sins. So whatever burden you might be carrying, you are free from that. God's promise to you this day is life after death. Best of all, God's promise to you this day in this moment is that he can use you on your best days and on, yes, your worst days to do God's work in the world. That is God's promise. And as the Bible teaches us anything else, it is that God is always faithful to his promise. For that we say thanks be to God.